Brother, are you all right?
No, I am not all right. I just shared a bottle of Kanar with Damar. That rhymes.
You're drunk.
Of course I'm drunk.
Since I've bugged him. Because, things like that happen. I mean, this is what happens when you try to actually leave options for the potential guest. I mean, we had a couple things set up, depending on who was going to be here, because they're both interesting topics, and one of them, the potential guest who is deciding to take a fucking nap instead, isn't going to be here, so we're not going to deep dive into that lore, because holy shit. So, Leon, how long do you think we could start educating people about the lore that is Warhammer 30 and 40k?
How long?
Yeah, like how long do you think we would need to actually not go into super detail, but go into enough detail that people could actually get the gist?
Well, we're in the beginning of September now. So, mid next year?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, and with how much Games Workshop tends to change things, and we'll have to go through that aspect of it. Yeah, fair point. So instead, we're going to go with a different series that has quite the, shall we say, robust lore and establishment to it. That would be the Foundation series.
Yeah, I'm not unhappy about this. I'm quite okay with it.
Do you have an objection, Jay?
I don't, because it's still going to be just as long.
No, this one we can go through it a little better, a little easier.
Okay, we'll have it done by December, but
Okay, fair point. But I think some people might be curious as to why that franchise in particular came up. Well, who's the ones that are working with it now, Leon?
Amazon, now what? Was it Apple or was it Amazon? I mean, it's kind of coin flip there too with how they're going to deal with it. I think it might actually have been Apple.
Yeah, it's one of those, be cautious with it because, they're doing a live action adaptation of it. And I'll admit I'm not as aware of where they're going to be starting off in it. But either place they start with, there's going to be a lot of world building that they have to do early on. And if they screw it up even slightly, it's not going to make any sense to people.
I don't know though, because from what I've seen so far, I'm not even remotely optimistic about it. It looks more and more like we're going to try to make this about action. We're going to try to make this about diversity in all the fucking things that there can be. Rather than, okay, we're going to make this about the Foundation.
So basically we're going to do political commentary of today, but with this backdrop.
Yeah, they're not even going to try to be subtle about it. Because, mind you, we do talk about Star Trek a lot. A whole fucking lot. But they at least used to be really fucking good when it came to making an allegory of current events. And not be over the top, we're going to beat you over the fucking head with it. With the Foundation, I mean, one of the main matters being psychohistory, you don't need those kinds of politics. You don't need that in that universe. It's already got its own fucking politics.
Which is actually could be a really refreshing addition to entertainment options out there. Do something different. do something that hasn't been done before. Don't just regurgitate the same goddamn bullshit over and over again.
Yeah, because right now, how many things, how many series, etc., have we had now that haven't been either a direct follow-up, such as Picard or Discovery, or even the fucking Star Wars sequel trilogy? How much of what we've had now with new sci-fi stuff that's reached mainstream or even reached popularity hasn't been either directly based on movies, etc., that's come before, or just fucking try to reboot it?
About the only thing I can think of that would be close to an original new offering still had its origins elsewhere, but it was a different medium, and that was The Expanse. And I think that's part of the problem is you had such true hard sci-fi in The Expanse that initially gained a lot of popularity that it tainted what other franchises were trying to do because they looked at that, they saw the success that they were getting, and they're like, hey, we can do that, but under this intellectual property, and then it's got to be successful because we're going to grow the audience, but we're also going to do it under this flagship, and we already have a built-in audience. But what about screwing over and pissing off the existing audience? Oh, that won't happen. That never happens. Why would you even think we would do... Oh, shit, we did it. Fuck.
Not now mentioning it. Certain franchises, most often beginning with Star.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's just amazing to me because now, with the Foundation has some action in it, but most of it is about the subterfuge. It's about these people that we're following and the things that they're actually being subjected to. We're not following them because we want the action. We're following them because we want to know what's going to happen here. This is a monumental piece of history. This is something where we're essentially following these people who will change history forever after the events of this book. And I'm not really keen on them trying to do that or make that all about. So I went over there and popped a cap on that guy's head. I was so funny. Nah, fuck that. Make it proper.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of my fear with Dune. If you actually read the books, a lot of what takes place through the bulk of the Dune franchise is not outright action. It's much more political intrigue and posturing and that interplay, that setting up, that long play chess match that culminates in some action at some points, but it's not reliant on the action. And that's like how the Foundation series and saga is. You have the positioning, the chess match, the long game that builds up, that a little action here, a little one choice here snowballs and creates an outcome that may or may not have been intended, and you follow through that way. It's a much more intellectual and a much more cerebral take to storytelling. And I think that's why I've gravitated towards it, because it does engage the mind. And holy fuck, are showrunners today incapable of doing that?
Yeah. When looking at the different shows and everything coming up now, I can't help but feel that most shows, most franchises try to just slap action on everything. As oh, this'll help, this'll do it all, this will make it so much better. Without understanding why action in some cases is needed, or why action is something that you absolutely do not need. I had a thing coming up. Go on.
I was going to say, think about it this way. How difficult is it to write engaging dialogue, especially for any sort of TV show, movie, or visual media. It is exceptionally difficult. When you look at, let's look at Loki. I can't remember if it's episode 2 or 3, where 90% of the episode was just straight up dialogue, and it was boring as fuck.
Sure, ruin it for me.
Well, if you haven't seen it by this point, it's on you.
I just have been bored and not watched it. That's all.
Well, and that's the thing is, it is easy to get your audience to flip the switch to off. It is very difficult to actually engage the audience ahead of time to get them interested and then keep them interested. Yes, there are people out there who are lowbrow who need the action, who need the bright lights and eye candy to stay
Lens flare.
engaged. Yeah, but if you rely on that, to gain and retain your audience, the show's not going to last. If we were in a different age, if we were in a slightly different time period, be it in 5 to 10 years from now or 10 years ago, a show with the ratings and reviews and viewer response like what Discovery and Picard have gotten would barely have lasted a season, let alone going into season 4 on Discovery. But they want to push a narrative. They want to push the political agenda through these platforms, so these shows have to go through. And I hope they don't completely fuck up Dune or Foundation by going down that same exact path. But I don't think they are going to learn from the mistakes of others.
Now, if we see it like this instead, what do we want out of the Foundation?
Good storytelling.
Well, that's kind of a given. But what more do we want out of it? What part of the story do we want it to tell? Is there something in particular that we may more gravitate towards?
That is a tough one.
I know.
Because
That's why I asked.
Oh, and that's the thing with a series like Foundation. It's not one solid storyline. It's just when you have that much material to go from, they are going to have to tailor it down to one main storyline that they're going to follow, which will essentially lead to only a handful of characters that there are the actual primaries, with little side plots here and there.
Oh, and it's Apple, by the way. I think that you're talking about the Foundation.
Yeah, it is. Which doesn't really inspire me with much confidence, but yeah. Now, but looking at it, with the Foundation, I'm not even just thinking about the Foundation itself. The Foundation is, as far as I see it, a stepping stone. And through the Foundation, through the discoveries of psychohistory, through finding out that the Neil Oliver is part of it, through all of that, I hope that we can actually bring back the original robot stories as well. All those things actually going backwards. And all the things going forwards as well from the Foundation. Because there is a lot of shit going on there. And I think that those things actually are worth talking about. They're worth exploring. Even though it might be really fucking hard to do something like always put an action twist on it. Especially in the case of, what is it? Little Lost Robot?
Sorry. See, I think that's the thing is they're going to have to fight their urges to take the easy way out of a lot of the storytelling to do it right. To even come close to doing it right, they're going to have to avoid the easy options of the storytelling. They're going to have to put in the hard work. They're going to have to actually put in a lot of effort for a shorter stint by comparison to other things if they want the storytelling to actually carry the show and actually get the interest that really it should, that it deserves. I don't think they're going to. I don't see them actually doing that. I see them wanting to play the numbers game and adjusting the presentation accordingly. So my fear is that it's going to be Foundation and name only, and they're going to throw some nifty little things in there that they can do for visual aesthetic, or something that may end up being a nice little MacGuffin within the storytelling that they can then use later or multiple times, depending on which one they go with. But I don't have any faith in them actually sticking true to the series, true to the franchise enough. I'm not saying that I want them to be strictly by the book, strictly hard adherence to what was established. I'm not saying that. But they do need to honor it in a way that they don't just bastardize the thing.
That is going to be the issue, though. Because with these books, we have massive amounts of actual storytelling going on. Most of it can be, well, directly transcribed to, say, for example, a series. That wouldn't really be too much of an issue. You can do it. But then you have those things where it would cost more for them to have an entire set, get everything straight, have people take maybe, say, 10, 15 takes because they need to get this shit done right in one. And it's just so much easier to slap some action into it. Have a small firefight that takes up 3, 4, 5 minutes. We don't have to care about that anymore.
But so I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a fair amount of people out there who have no idea what the Foundation series is. How would we start by giving them a primer to try to entice them, if not to watch the show when it actually finally is released, if it's ever released, or in the interim to pick up one of the books and actually put in the time to either read it themselves or get the audiobook version. That's another thing. Audiobooks, people. Fucking best thing available to you on the web, is, in my opinion.
Well, according to IMDb, the first episode is supposed to air September 24th, 2021 on Apple TV.
So we shall see if that's what actually, how that goes. And even no, I have access to Apple TV, so I might actually give it a watch when it goes live.
As for a primer, though, it's really hard knowing where to start. It's just a lot going on there. I guess if we want to start really somewhere, we have to start with, well, what the Foundation is.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, that's going to be hard. It might be easier if we actually go even further back in time to, well, modern day, or our modern day rather, in which, in this universe, in modern day, robots are commonplace. They are not perfected per se, but they're commonplace enough. In the not too far future, though, it'll be a case of humans moving to other planets. I think there's 40 of them, or 40 different planets. And those people being more known as spaces afterwards. All of them shaping the planets and themselves in order to fit into the new environments. One of the, well, post-human creations being able to telekinetically move shit, being able to, well, manifest electrical fields, and control vast amounts of robots with their minds. All that while robots on Earth have been outlawed. They're not allowed here anymore. Which is why something as special as a certain robot named R. Daniil Olowell, the second robot to actually receive the 0th law of robotics, you shall not through action or inaction do anything that can harm humanity or let humanity come to harm. He is allowed to come back and then get hold of, how was his name? Elijah Bailey, who happens to be a police officer. They can go to these different space planets. They can, in many cases, just solve different cases of crime, etc. A la Columbus style. I think that's the easiest way to describe it to begin with. Then we fast forward a couple of thousand years, and we have the, what do we call it? Yeah, fucking lord, this is hard to actually describe. That we're talking about so many different books and just getting to the point where this shit starts.
Yeah, because I actually have the entire list right here. So for those who are unaware, the Foundation series was written by Isaac Asimov. The first book accredited as being part of the greater universe that is the Foundation series, Empire, but also the Robot series, is from 1950, I, Robot. And then in total, there are 18 books that are either part of a series within that universe or standalone, but still a part of the universe. And there is a lot that goes through. So we have a chronological order of these different stories from this expanded universe. I, Robot, The Positronic Man, Nemesis, then Caves of Steel, The Naked Sun, The Robots of Dawn, Robots and Empire, The Stars Like Dust, The Currents of Space, Pebble in the Sky, Prelude to Foundation, Forward to the Foundation, Foundation, Foundation and Empire, Second Foundation, Foundation's Edge, Foundation and Earth, and then The End of Eternity. And I think of all the installments there, the one that has me probably the most intrigued would actually be that last one. in the timeline, the end of eternity. Because it's actually about the organization named Eternity, who is outside of time. And this is why I mentioned Loki. They're like that organization in the Loki series, trying to preserve the holy one true timeline. Not exactly in that sense. Their goal is actually to improve human happiness by altering history to kind of guide and nudge them along. Which I think having that at the end of everything really makes a lot of sense if they do a series of stuff leading up to it, because then you would have this as pretty much one movie or one series looking back at how this one entity had their hands in everything and how things played out and everything that led up to that point. But then again, that could just be my mischievous nature in the way that I can see manipulations being applied and done and actually handled. Because that is another thing. Using that sort of storytelling aspect, using that as part of your major plot point of subtle manipulations throughout time, writing that in a way that doesn't completely screw up the story in and of itself takes a masterful stroke of writing to do it effectively. I don't know how many authors outside of Asimov, Herbert, or Heinlein can do that without making a mess of things.
Well, Pratchett, well, he might have been in the wrong genre for that.
Pratchett may have been able to pull it off, but yeah, with his penchant being for a different type of storytelling, it just would have been an odd application of it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to tell with this. It's really hard to tell going forward how they'll actually handle it. I mean, we're going to see a bit of it on the 25th. Overall, though, I am very much 2080 on them just completely and utterly butt-fucking the entire franchise before it's even started.
20% them actually doing it right, 80% them screwing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd kind of have to agree with you on that because, well, I wonder how much of the showrunners, the writers, and producers even recognize that the movie I, Robot is part of the grander universe that they're delving into. Which, technically, chronologically, it is the starting point of the entire
That's the foundation of their foundation.
Yeah. That's one way to put it, yeah.
Yeah, because without iRobot, many of the things happening in the Foundation trilogy and the Foundation books in general makes no fucking sense. Such as, why is there only one real robot here now? Why are there robots, but why are they banned? I guess might be the best way to put it. Why are they not seen everywhere? With everything else being so technologically advanced, why don't they have robots? And that's something you really need to look into the history of it in order to understand why that is. You need to understand what led up to this point. Why is it why is it that they are doing this now? Why have they come here, rather than having hyper advanced robots? that keep doing this shit for them. And also, one of the what's it called? When you're not a protagonist or an antagonist, there's a fucking word for it. When you're both the protagonist and antagonist at the same time, not an anti-hero. You know what I mean.
Yeah, I know the character archetype you're talking about. I forget the term for it.
Yeah, because we have that in our Daniil Olival. And if you don't know anything about what's come before that, you won't understand the significance of him being in it either. And if someone's trying to say, oh, spoilers, fuck you, the books are fucking 50 years old now.
Well, and granted, this is where Asimov jumping around kind of those things. So, you remember the list of the 18 books in chronological order of storytelling?
Yeah,
Here,
where they are in actual order.
Here is their release years in that order. iRobot, which is actually the first one, was released in 1950 as a collection of 9 shorter stories that actually melded together. Then 1992, which was essentially a rewrite of the 1976 novelette Bicentennial Man. Then 89, 54, 57, 83, 85, 51, 52, 50, 88, 93, 51, 52, 53, 82, 86, and 55. So, from 1950 to 1993, you get random glimpses at somewhere in the timeline of this universe that Asimov created. So, oof. Yeah, you're going to end up having some things that don't quite hold up, simply because of the time period and what Asimov was seeing going on around him that influenced his writings. Like the Robot series, the Ardenil Olival series, there are actually 4 books in it, and in the timeline they are in direct succession. But the first 2 were written in 1954 and 57, and then he didn't pick it back up until 1983 and 85.
Yeah, he kind of liked that time jumping stuff.
From his standpoint, I can see it because it gives you a break. It gives you a time to get that bit of time, that bit of story out of your head, and do a dump and work through it, and then unplug, recharge, and go to another story. And then something will spark you, and you can go back to it. Google moderator teams, I'm waiting for the Blake 7 robot reboot. Yeah, I'm not sure how well they'd be able to do that, or if anyone would actually have the balls to do it.
Here's a question, though. With the Foundation and everything now, does that mean that everything considered, the Bicentennial Man movie with Robert Williams is now canon in the Foundation universe?
And, I was going to bring that up in a little bit. If they manage to do it right, they could incorporate them, just like they could incorporate the iRobot movie with Sonny. if they do it right. But again, that takes a lot of effort and a lot of creativity and a lot of wherewithal to actually be able to incorporate those early introductions and those little droplets of the series that a lot of people didn't realize were from Asimov and from this series. I'll admit it, when I first saw Bicentennial Man, I didn't know where the story came from. It wasn't until a few years later that I knew.
And that ending still hits you.
It does. But and that's the thing, is you need to have a creative team and competent actors like you did in that to be able to convey stories with this much nuance, depth, and intrigue without it coming off as pretentious or convoluted.
And that also means that the people paying for it have to be willing to let that happen without making it just, oh yes, Bicentennial Man. You mean where he shot that dude in the shower curtain?
Yeah,
But this is actually something where it's the iRobot thing. Imagine that you take iRobot and you just make it into a thing similar to the thing that they did with the Animatrix. As in, you have a full-length movie, say even up to 2 hours, where you have snippets of those short stories, as in the actual stories in it.
Mm-hmm.
You have Liar, you have Little Lost Robot, you have Robbie, you have the evitable conflict, you have all those. And you just take snippets of them, just streamline them, and you can have that as a movie. But just take 4 of them, spend half an hour on each.
Oh,
Just to let... Go on.
well, and that's where and depending on their long game, when it comes to the Foundation series and the rest of the 15, 16, or all 18 books that they have to pull from, if they take that approach to it and do more bite-sized morsels in that sense, then they might actually stand a chance at doing the series a better job and a better presentation, at least as an initial bit, to see which storylines the audience actually enjoyed, how it was presented and how it was told, so they can then use that as essentially the market research for which parts of this entire universe are we going to go even deeper into.
Yeah, something... They could essentially make an entire series on its own, just using Powell and Donovan. And the fucking shenanigans that they were up to. There's a lot to pull from. You have those, you have Elijah Bailey, you have, oh, what's the name? Susan, Calvin, that's the one. You have all these characters that all have stories that you can get through them. There's a lot to bring up there. Even if they made it and called it iRobot the series, and they had, say, 3-4 seasons, each season focusing just on one particular character or set of characters, it would still work. It would bring back those stories, everything that's been brought up before, and it would do it in such a way that it's bite-sized, but it's still something that shows that there is actually a larger world to all this. none of this is just in its own little bubble. All of this has something else it's connected to.
Well, and if it's done right, you can have your Easter eggs in the background that directly point to where is this actually at in the timeline. Which, to do Easter eggs along those lines right, you know, some people might not like this, but you got to look at Pixar. How much of the Pixar movies do you end up seeing little nods and assets from different movies popping up in the others, showing that even though you're in one movie you're dealing with just humans, another one you're dealing with toys that come alive, and another one you're dealing with aquatic animals that can actually speak to each other, or monsters, or cars. When you look at all of it, it all ties together, and it essentially becomes a prolonged history of Earth, just with different forms of life being the ones that are actually in charge.
Way to break down the Pixar theory into a nutshell.
Which,
We should go over that one of these
oh,
days. Convoluted as it is.
but it works. And it's all because of these little references. These admittedly started out as Easter eggs, but when you actually put them all together, you can create a timeline like that. Here, you'd be starting with that timeline. You're already starting with the combined universe. So why not do it that way?
Hold on, I gotta double check one movie really quick. Hold on. I think I am right.
Yes, Brave is part of it too.
Oh, I know that is. Okay, so in theory, the Pixar universe would start out with The Good Dinosaur, with it missing, with the Chicxulub impact
Not happening.
not happening. So that's what creates this alternate timeline for the Pixar universe. You go through, and you get to Monsters Inc., where you have Boo, the little girl. But as she grows older, she discovers that it's not science or anything. It's magic that's created the Pixar universe, and she finds a way to go back in time, and she's the witch in Brave. Have you heard that part of the theory yet?
I have, yeah.
Okay. So, and then she's going back trying to find out how to get to the monster world, not realizing that it's kind of like an alternate dimension, so to speak. And that she thought it was another form of time, which it could also be, because it could be in the future after or between Wall-E and Cars. Because I think it goes Cars, then Wall-E, because humans come back. I'm remembering the timeline of it correctly.
No, Bug's Life is in between. It's, you have the Brave and the Humanity and Toy Story. Then you have A Bug's Life. Then Wall-E with Humanity coming back. And Cars and Monsters, Inc. are after all of that.
Seeing if I can find an actual timeline. Like an image timeline.
Well, I'm fucking confused.
That's kind of the point. Okay.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Temporal mechanics is an easy topic.
I'm okay with that. It's the point at which cars, for example, come in that kind of fucking that up.
Actually, it's where is, they don't even list Bug's Life in this thing? Oh, there it is. They list Bug's Life almost simultaneously with Wall-E.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
So here we go. They don't even. This is before Good Dinosaur came out. It looks like. This is just a nice little reference point or starting point. So you get Brave when it decides to load as the starting point at this point. Then you get the 50s and 60s with the Incredibles. I don't think it quite plays that. I don't think it quite plays out that way in the updated storyline, but you know. Then you have Toy Story 1 and 2, Toy Story 3. Then you start getting Finding Nemo where the fish can talk to themselves. Then you get Remy from Ratatouille being able to understand humans and figure out how to control them. And then Toy Story 3, there it is. You also have Up. Then from 2100 to 2200, you get Cars and Bug's Life and the Wall-E all the way up till roughly 2900, at which point humans come back. Or no, Bug's Life is after that. I'm not reading this correctly, but you know, long story short, after around 4500 AD, you get the Monsters universe. But Boo is somehow this lady here going all the way back to Brave and starting the whole thing over again. Time-wise.
I'm not less confused now.
Good. Good. That's kind of the point. The Super Carlin Brothers does a very good job of explaining it better. They break it down, and every time a new movie shows up, they figure out how to put it in
where it fits. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that is unintentional, creating a grander universe that's all tied together. And the reality, the actual, not in the movies, not on the screen, the actual behind the scenes story behind it is they wanted to have Easter eggs for that added engagement with the audience. And plus, it's all from the same studio. They already have the assets, so it doesn't take anything major to throw in a reference into Toy Story 4 to A Bug's Life and Finding Nemo. And,
all right.
And really the way they did that was in one scene as they were scrolling past, on the shelf somewhere, there was a cookie box that is the same cookie box as the in A Bug's Life, and then the diving mask from Finding Nemo.
Yep.
So yep, Good Dinosaur, then Brave, Incredibles, Toy Story.
Yep.
The Finding Nemo, yep. They threw in Ratatouille. Okay. So they're going movie by movie. Good.
Yep.
Toy Story 3, okay. Up. Okay.
Inside Out,
Down.
The Emotions.
Yep.
Part 2. Coco. They're still trying to figure out where it's going to be.
Where it actually what time frame it takes place in. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you have the prologue for Wall-E.
Yep. So this is where the government tells everybody to
Leave.
the Earth. At which point
Cars.
machines like Wall-E eventually evolve and make cars. Then the Wall-E movie events take place.
Then-
After nearly a century of human repopulation, human emotional energy has returned a spark to the world enough to prompt insects and birds into rebuilding their own societies, starting small by repurposing leftover human artifacts. Bugs don't seem to care much about humans, and they prove to be much smarter than any other animals, likely because they survived the Cars era, as shown through the cockroach and Wall-E.
Okay. Then we
3100 to 5201. Monsters Inc. Yeah. The epilogue in Monsters Inc. At the end, Sully has discovered laughter and joy are more powerful emotions than fear. This ends the Pixar timeline at the moment. However, the little girl Boo, desperate to find him and remembering that the power of doors, Boo grows up to become a witch in order to find Sully. This is the same witch who, from Brave, who has traveled into the past to find her kitty, who looks like a bear, not realizing that Sully lives in the distant future, which uses doors as portals to find him. Any more confused?
It's cleared up slightly, but still.
I'm waiting for Phase 3 to come out. You know, much in the way that you have the phases for Marvel movies.
I will give Pixar credit that much praise, because they haven't gone that road of all right, we're intentionally doing this long run of stories and movies, and we're chunking it up into phases. Instead, their primary focus is telling a good story. And look at what happens. You get a lot of people that actually want to watch your shit after that.
Well, and that's the thing about, and sorry to derail us into a Pixar thing, but even the poor performing Cars 2, Cars 3, you still found that the overall story work, they just didn't maybe execute it as well as they could have. You know what I mean? I enjoyed all the Cars movies. I've enjoyed The Incredibles 2. I've enjoyed most of the sequels that I've seen. Do I think they're as good as the first? No. But you enjoy them for what they are, you know?
Oh, Icarus. If Lord of the Rings was part of the Pixar universe, they could just open the door to Mordor.
I think.
How do you know it's
Catapult.
not yet? Disney owns everything pretty much.
God. We are not bringing up the Death Star image of the mouse head again.
No, we won't bring that up. But I'm sure it falls somewhere into that neat little category of we own this company that actually owns this company that owns this company, so on down the line. That's
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That would not surprise me one bit, because wait a minute. Which company? Well, Peter Jackson, when he did the Lord of the Rings stuff, who was it that actually bankrolled the project?
let me see. Lord of the Rings. We'll go with the first one in 2001.
So I know his studio that he started was one of them, but there was another.
There was a major one in there.
Yeah.
New Line Cinema, which I think is owned by Disney.
Oh, there you go.
Let's see. New Line Cinema.
Will we get
Is owned
what's it called?
by? Oh, it was purchased by Time Warner back in '96.
And Time Warner is bought out by the mouse. So what were you about to ask, Leon?
Will we get copyright struck if we have certain select images from the Lord of the Rings showing?
Images, no. Audio and moving images, yes. Probably.
What if it's a GIF with still images?
We may be okay.
Did we dare try it?
Yeah, let's try it. Why not?
Let's see here. I want to show. I want to show the right thing. There we go.
Not the left thing?
Just tell me when you're ready.
Alright. What about a catapult?
A catapult.
Oh, God.
That's retarded. I don't see you coming up with anything. Calm down, Boromir. Now, I don't need your ring of this stupid fellowship. Boromir, shut up. Fine. I think it's a good idea. I can't believe we're doing this. Quiet, Ranger. Cough up the really short stuff. Ready? Fire!
Uh, stupid fucking ring. Ah, there it is.
Something this small is really hard to trajectorize.
Oh no.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yes.
Wow. Oh. Wow.
Oh God.
Wow. Just because it worked doesn't mean it was a good idea.
Well, if it works. So, with that, how can we tie Lord of the Rings into the Marvel universe and then by extension into the Foundation universe?
They find the elves.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
A long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there once was this kid. Which reminds me.
Yes.
Speaking of, Bicentennial Man was distributed by Buena Vista Pictures Distribution.
Yeah, it was owned by Disney.
Yeah.
Hmm.
There. And just simply tie it in that way.
I see lens flares coming along.
Oh, god damn it. Icarus. Loki made Marvel into a multiverse, so now everything should be in the Marvel-verse.
How about now, though?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to... Jay, are you actually planning on watching the series?
Loki?
Yes.
Eventually.
Okay.
I won't be dissatisfied if you actually spoil anything for me. It's not the end of the world. I'm not one of those cheeky bastards.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Loki does pull a Loki. Listens to the bad guy and is actually, you kind of have a point.
That tends to happen.
A well-founded, well-written bad guy actually can be a sympathetic character. You can understand where they're coming from and what their point actually is. Doesn't mean you have to agree with them or would side with them, but you can at least understand, hey, yeah, you got a raw deal. You got screwed over.
You mean like Vlad Tepes? You know where he's from. You can most definitely see his point.
Nice. No, actually, I was thinking more along the lines of the movie Looper.
Oh yeah.
That was actually a surprisingly well written movie when you actually go back and look at it.
Okay. I'm gonna have some fun with this. I hope you guys find this interesting too. So I want to blow up the image, right? What do I normally press to do that?
Control scroll.
Or Control Plus. Wait. So
And
this is the biggest is at 67% of the. That's just fun.
gotta love
Okay.
IMDb at times.
I bet it's from Disney. Arseholes.
They are a bunch of assholes.
It says here it's from
Since the
Columbia and Touchstone Pictures. God damn it. I'm so sharing that one with everybody though.
What we're actually starting to talk about here today.
Something about foundations.
Since we have time and foundation and everything like that, do we talk about the Japanese trailer for Dune?
We might as well. Because, again, such potential. And it really is a similar story archetype because Dune should be more of a political thriller kind of thing instead of outright action.
Have you watched the trailer, Jay? The one I put into the thingy.
No, I have not watched that one yet.
I would recommend that you do it. It's just, what is it, 2 minutes long? And there might be something interesting there if you spot it.
Oh, it'd help if I started scrolling through the right group.
Maybe? I'm not saying it would, but it would be a definite plus.
Okay, so Secrets of Dune from 1 month ago? Okay. I actually was looking it up on YouTube as we were discussing.
Secrets of Dune?
The channel.
Well, it was, what, 8 days ago, but close enough. And then just ignore them speaking Japanese there.
Some people find that easy to do.
I found it interesting, and I do not know why they didn't have that more in the more Western releases.
I mean, this is where I think they underestimate the audience, or maybe I'm just giving too much credit to the average person. But showing something like the couple images, the couple glimpses of the Highliner that we got would have done so much better for my confidence in how much they were actually going to get right in that movie.
Yeah, I just hope that they keep getting it right. So it doesn't end up being one of those things where they show that to the Japanese or showcase it to the Japanese because, oh yeah, they're going to love that shit. And then it turns out mostly to be action anyway.
Yeah, don't do the bait and switch.
Yeah, that looked like a lot of action to that one.
Yeah, but did you see the highliner?
The highliner.
That's the big thing. The Guild Highliner. The
Big motherfucking
fucking ship.
oblong Thoroid.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, from the depictions in the books to what we've gotten on screen, so far that one is looking to be the most accurate. The one in the miniseries wasn't terribly far off. I'm just chopping that up to cheap cheap effects because it was a sci-fi series. Oh god, what's this?
Stuff.
Pray for Frodo.
Don't forget, and my temporary profile picture.
I have to, though, for those who have not seen it yet, I'm going to just bring these up here and just hope to fuck that we do not get copyright struck for it.
Well, we are doing commentary, so if they do try to bitch about it, I'll just be like, hey, fair use, motherfucker.
Yeah, but then there's CBS and, the bullshit.
CBS okay. CBS has only given us the hard time when we've been showing stuff from Discovery while giving them proper criticism. The criticism is the problem.
Yeah, they don't like that, do they?
No.
Well, this right here, I'm going to guess that this is the landing scene once the House of Atreides has actually reached, or once the last of the House of Atreides has reached Arrakis. And yeah, the rendering here isn't as good as it could have been, but deal with it.
But it still gives you the idea of just the scale of that thing.
Yeah, which, if these are the ships that they arrive in on Arrakis later on, those ships are the size of fucking skyscrapers almost. In comparison to this gaping fucking maw. A nice symbolism too for the worm. But yeah, just seeing that. Go on.
Which, that actually, bigger lore aspect, big series aspect, that scaling difference makes the most sense because later on in the series, a couple of the later characters run away in a highliner with a couple worms in one of the cargo holds. Now, granted, they're not the size of the greatest of Shai-Hulud from this time period, but they're still not fucking small.
It still dwarfs the World Destroyer in the TOS
Yes.
episode.
Yes. Very much so.
But something too that I noticed while looking at this here. Either the graphics artist is really good at it, or this is actually a practical effect. It does have that more, not chunky, but when the lighting seems to actually hit it proper.
It's hitting it looks like it's hitting an actual object, not just purely rendered. Unless they got one hell of a computer to render that.
And if they did that, I wouldn't mind if they kept using it for practical shit. If that's what they've done. Because just looking at the entire scale of this thing, this isn't really accurate in size to it. This
That's
is
like
really
looking at the
fucking
Earth and the
tiny.
Moon.
Yeah, this is, as far as I've been able to piece together, this is the Emperor's Palace when he's going to, and I'm not actually sure with this planet here. Well, I think this is actually a big motherfucking ship, as in massively huge. Whilst these ones here are also massively huge, just slightly tinier than this. And we can see how many there are. And I can't remember. Do you remember, Jared, in the book they're talking about we could have, well, we could put our entire family here, or we could put our entire holdings and everything in this Highliner, and it wouldn't even be a tiny corner of the entire thing.
Yeah, it would be the entirety of their army from all of their holdings and all of their property would end up taking up maybe 1%, if I remember
If
right.
even that, it was infinitesimal. And I'd say that looking at this, they're managing it. They're really managing it. So far, if this is any indication of what's come, I'm happy with it. I would be way fucking happy just to see how it turns out.
Yeah, and this is why I mentioned on Twitter, even in response to STD Sucks, that I'm cautiously optimistic. Very cautiously optimistic, but it's. I have more optimism than I do pessimism about this attempt at Dune from what I've seen. Yes, there are things that they've gotten laughably wrong so far from what we've seen.
Fucking armor that
Oh,
slopes
Dune
off
Part
towards the
2
head.
in pre-production.
I just hope that they do it well.
Oh. They're doing another Willy Wonka.
Why?
Yeah, why?
Well, the kid who plays shit, I lost the train of thought. The kid who plays Paul in the Dune movie,
Mm-hmm.
he's playing Wonka, supposedly in the new Wonka movie. Yeah.
At this point in time, I'd rather that they go out and dig up Gene Wilder.
Do a deep fake like they did with Tarkin.
Yes.
Well, this is one that they're going to be doing. The story will focus on a specifically young Willy Wonka and how he met the Oompa Loompas in one of his earliest adventures.
Oh, so they're taking the flashback scene from the Johnny Depp version.
Yeah.
I have a question though. Who the fuck cares?
They want the money.
As we mentioned earlier, there's 15,000 ideas that you could come up with in a day without having to fall back onto earlier franchises. Why try to remake it?
Money.
Oh, God.
What?
You know, IMDb allows people to make their own posts and things, right? Somebody edited in the trivia. This is the first installment of the Roald Dahl cinematic universe. It's unknown if this movie will connect to the witches.
If it's unknown, how can you say? Wow.
Yeah, I know.
They did remake The Witches too.
Yeah, but it's no different than saying, I don't have any evidence to support this, but it was definitely this person that did it.
That reminds me of someone who we will not name on here.
Yeah,
Sorry to make your brain hurt. Not really.
So RNGD Gaming says, Dune movies and miniseries haven't done well. I am hoping that it will be good, but I have my doubts.
Don't we all?
Dune is such a difficult story to apply to film and do it justice and do it right. And I'm not. You might miss this at the beginning, RNGD, because it's not a typical story type that lends well to film, especially in sci-fi. It's more in line like the Pelican Brief. That type of storytelling works great for the general masses, and something like that sort of setting with political intrigue and manipulating the legal system and all sorts of shenanigans that way. Most people generally don't expect that when they go to sci-fi, unless you're a fan of older sci-fi that was very, very cerebral. Which, hey, that's me. That's why I gravitate towards those. Granted, some of the tech that they can come up with is great, but I'm not there for the tech. Give me a good story.
But the tech is garnish.
It really is.
Well, it's like, okay, you get served this dish. It's something like, say, pork sirloin, potatoes, some really good gravy to go with that. And then someone, I don't know who, decides to take an entire fucking bag full of parsley and mash everything else into it. That's what's happening with the fucking tech now when you have the, oh yeah, we need some technology. It's not that technology is a means to an end. It's just technology for technology's sake. It's like showing someone from the 1700s a movie just about escalators. Look at these. They move people up. They move people down. Like stairs. But they move on their own.
Yeah, and that's... It's one thing if it's supposed to be a mindless sort of entertainment thing. But there are ways to do that right without insulting your audience. And I have a feeling these people would try to do something like that, but just end up doing it in a way that insults the audience. Which goes back into the beginning of this. I don't see Apple doing the Foundation series anything close to correct. I think they're using the setting as a backdrop for what they want to push as a political narrative and stories that way.
And next thing we know, John Cena will be speaking Chinese.
Oh, God. And here's the bad part. He actually did well in that movie.
Yeah. It's sad. That was actually a good movie.
I wanted to hate his portrayal of that character in the Suicide Squad, simply because of his pathetic excuse for an ethical compass when it comes to dealing with sensitive issues that aren't really sensitive issues. I wanted to hate his character and find fault in his actual performance. But you know what? His performance was good. He's still a fucking idiot and a shitbag person.
Yeah. Which, if you keep doing that kind of stuff, what do you think you'll be working with in a few years? It's not going to go well.
Something tells me he doesn't care because he's going to be getting paid.
Probably. Which is kind of really fucking sad when you think about it.
I think I have to go move my car. Give me just a second, guys.
Yep. Now, something which would actually interest me would be something similar to Dashboard in space. And not just because of Spaceboat, but because it would be a really interesting psychological view of the things happening. And that could even be something taking place in the Star Trek universe, since we have seen this actually be touched upon. If you look at Voyager, for example, it can be done. So why not just do it?
I wonder how much of it is a lack of ability from the people running the shows, and how much of it is fear from those people and or the studio on whether or not it would be successful. Because it seems like they were a lot more willing to take risks on certain stories, certain types of stories and everything, that now they want to guarantee max profitability from a show instead of, oh, I don't know, making a good show that's going to end up making them money anyways.
Yeah, but that's money down the line. We have to do something now that will give us money now. Just why not? And that doesn't at all contribute to everything just feeling the same.
Yeah.
Just looking at the movies that we've been watching, let's say, all the fucking time we've been watching movies, apart from the Star Trek movies, how many times have we been watching something that's felt the same as something else?
Only the times it was an actual remake and it was supposed to.
Yeah, but otherwise, we've been watching, say, just go back a few months here, because why the fuck not? I can, so. Oh, yeah. We have, in May here, we watched The City of Lost Children and Brazil. I would say that both of those movies are rather unique, not just in the portrayal, but also their stories. They're not really something that you'd see just any day.
Yeah, they're not your typical viewing experience.
Now, it's something where, when we've been watching things here, everything that we've been watching has been more or less unique. It's been something where it isn't just brain dead violence, it isn't just brain dead this and all that. It's been something where it's actually had a meaning to it. Just like watching Moon, or watching what's it called? Spirited Away. Watching things like, well, anything really that's been shown here. It's always been something that's just a touch above what we get otherwise today in the cinemas. And sometimes it really takes just pushing along to find or to watch something that's actually good, something that's unique, something that's not just white noise. And trying to do this to people who would vote for fucking paint drying is even harder. I still can't get over that.
I still find humor in that because people, we have a bunch of assholes around us. Let's just admit it. There is an asshole side for comedic value amongst everyone that's watching us, that's here for the right reasons, and that's in the Discord server. So as soon as I saw that option, I knew it was going to get the vote simply because people have that sort of humor. Because, oh, they're not really going to do it. Oh, really? We put the options there for a reason.
I can't think of us ever doing something like that and not actually following through with it. If people have voted for it, we have watched it. Even if they haven't wanted to watch it. We'll teach you to have fun. We'll teach your grandmother to suck eggs. But it's one of those things where people think that we're kidding with it. No, we're not. If it's an option, it is an option. Which, it makes me wonder though, what do we try to go for next week? Do we have any kind of, any kind of theme?
Well, we're going to need a brain bleach movie for next week.
Brain bleach as in just something really good, or brain bleach as in something so completely and utterly that...
Something to offset the horrible abomination that we have to watch.
Oh wait, we have to watch that this week, do we?
That would be next show.
I have an idea. How about we just say we watched it and just avoid it?
And see if the person who requested that we finish these actually notices?
Oh, by the way, speaking of next week, I have the whole day off. We could actually do it early and we can make Geo suffer with us.
Okay, we're gonna have to watch it then.
Yep.
When will Geo be up on weekdays?
Oh, on the week. Well, he's actually relocating, so streaming will be easier for him. So we can. We will get an answer from him in the next few days on what time would work, and then who knows? We might actually have the full crew available.
Because in that case, I can do the thing so we stream it way early in the day, so he can suffer along with us. And in that case, you go.
Wait, watch the movie immediately before we go live?
We could do that too. I'm not entirely sure though, because the way the last two movies have been, I want to get properly fucking sloshed before watching the last one.
Oh no, Icarus, we're not joking. That is the next movie that we have to watch and do the review of next week on this show. And if we're gonna go through it, you know what? Since more of the panel would be available early enough, we can even make it so one of the founding bridge members can make a triumphant return with that horrible movie to talk about.
This makes me think of Doctor Weir and a modified quote saying, "Where we're going, we really don't need eyes to see."
You know, now that we've been watching Atlantis, I do kind of prefer the brunette Weir over the blonde one.
Are you sure?
She just seems to fit the character more. But then again, it could just be that one episode versus how many dozens?
I think that we might be thinking of two different Dr. Weirs.
And I immediately went to Stargate.
No, I guess I was thinking about the other one.
Which other Doctor Weir?
Oh, I don't want to look at it. I knew I didn't want to look at it.
That Doctor Weir.
Oh.
Yes. Where we're going, we don't need eyes to see.
That was a good movie, though, too.
It's a good setup. Everything about the movie, everything about how the movie played out, apart from the, let's say, slightly dated CGI effects, everything there was really nicely done. And it's one of those movies, sure, it wasn't scary per se,
It
but it
was
was unsettling.
it was fucked up.
Yeah.
It
And
was it was a messed up movie, but it was intended to be a messed up movie, and holy hell did they pull it off. Like normally I do not like gore in a movie. I don't like gratuitous blood or violence in a movie, as it's not my thing. But that one, it fit the story, it fit the setting, and it worked.
The Wandering Earth. Let's see here. Is it better than the ratings?
Are you looking at critics' ratings? Or audience
I don't
ratings?
know yet.
Hmm.
Let me see here. Let me check this site and see what ratings are there. Okay, yeah, it's got way better ratings by the audience. There is another movie called The Naked Wanderer.
That leaves a lot to the imagination.
Well, not really. You know what we need?
Hmm.
We need a good adaptation of Journey to the East. Wait, is it Journey to the West? No, it's Journey to the East.
I'm not familiar.
The whole thing with Sun Wukong. What's his face? The fucking monk Tripitaka, I think it is.
Yeah, I'm still drawing a blank.
Let me see. Is it Journey to the East? It might be Journey to the West. I think it's Journey to the East, though. Ah, here we go. It's Journey to the West. It is a Chinese novel published in the 16th century during the Ming Dynasty, attributed to... I can't pronounce that. Let's just call him Wu. And it's about monkey. And we're following the Buddhist monk. I guess it's Zhongzang. Or some shit like that. Or Tanzangzang. I can't pronounce that shit. What you're following is Zhang Wukong, Zhu Baiye, and Jia Wujing. Also known as Son Goku. The monkey with the staff.
Where else have I heard that character mentioned?
Well, one of them might be Dragon Ball.
I think that's what I was going to, is the Dragon Ball series.
Yeah, he's the Monkey King.
Huh.
Yeah, he is Son Wukong. The more you know. And no, we're not gonna watch the fucking live action Dragon Ball movie. Fuck off, no.
There is no live action Dragon Ball movie. I don't know what you're talking about.
There is no live action Dragon Ball movie in some passing say. Yeah, I've seen one of them that's been a animated one that was actually quite good. But I can't fucking remember the name of it. Now, we need something like that. Dragon Ball in space. What's the best TV sci-fi theme tune? I would go for the first series of Space 1999 and UFO.
I kind of... Icarus brings up a good one with Doctor Who. But... Deep Space Nine has a good one. What was that, Jay?
I knew you were going to go there.
I really like Voyager.
Voyagers was a good one too.
But then again, it's been a long time getting from here to there.
And it's a shame that it's going to be another 6 months or so before we're at that series.
Oh, it's a good series though.
Yeah, but we are almost halfway through DS9.
Yeah, then there's Voyager. If we don't do the thing where we kind of avoid the episodes of Voyager that are not as good.
No. We slogged through the bad episodes of TNG and Deep Space Nine. We can, well, we'll decide about the Voyager ones when we get there.
Because I'm not too keen on watching the Warp 10 stuff again.
What? Threshold was one of the best episodes of Voyager. Oh, fuck, I can't even finish that sentence.
No, Karis, you got here just in time.
Yeah. If you want more BDSM, you might want to be her
Ring
early
my bell
next.
to be a special subscriber.
You might want to be her early next Saturday in that case.
Yeah, we could do quite a bit of torture. Especially if we start before we go live and then immediately roll to the on-air portion. It's all about the timing.
Yeah.
And the tempo.
I'm just thinking here how to do it so you're not directly, conscious for the
Damaged.
fucking movie. That works. But not directly conscious for the movie and actually still there for the stuff afterwards.
If we do it as a wake up for certain people so they're not entirely awake for the movie, and that might help, being only semi-conscious but not drug induced going to unconsciousness but coming the other direction.
I think I'll just go smack myself with a crowbar instead. That's less painful. Actually, this is something, and I don't know if you've noticed this with so many of the reboots and or attempts at adapt a franchise that's already been existing before, it's painful to watch a lot of it. And it's not painful because it's really bad. It's painful because those things that you used to like are getting slaughtered. And these motherfuckers think it's just, well, they think it's just a really grand old time.
Do we need to talk about the Masters of the Universe?
No.
Are you sure?
I already have other things on my mind than Longclaws. Among those, kind of fucking up the only opportunity that they had to actually bring Carrie Fisher back to the movie without using a lot of sticks and strings.
And yes, I do expect to get punished for that question.
Yeah, but you're gonna love the punishment, so does it really matter?
It all depends on who's dishing it out. And you know what? Icarus, I've watched Wing Commander, that movie, recently. There are some parts of it that I enjoyed. There are other parts of it that just make me wonder why. Did they really need to have the forced romantic intrigue and that into it?
She's got huge tracts of land.
Unfortunately, Saffron Burrows doesn't. Still a gorgeous woman, though.
I will say, though, I do like those jump scenes.
Yeah, there were aspects of that movie that were actually done rather well. But then there were other parts where they went off the rails simply because, oh, we gotta make it enticing to people. And hey, we have these teenage heartthrobs as our two lead actors. Well, we gotta use them for the talents that they are?
And not a Mark Hamill in sight.
You know, I'm trying to think of which role would you have put Mark Hamill in that movie? Because the only one I could think of is maybe Tallwin.
I can put it like this. I haven't watched that movie since shortly after it came out on TV. It's been a while.
Well, and that's the thing is, other than the main characters that we're following, the pilots, of the actual command staff, that's the type of role, because unfortunately, because of his age, that's the type of role that Mark Hamill would have been cast into. But I don't see him as doing a better job than the actors that were there.
That's a question for you, though. You get to choose any movie, any franchise today to make Mark Hamill the lead character. Which franchise, which character?
Do we get to redo the entire franchise in a way that's actually best suited for the character?
Yes.
DC movie universe, and he is finally the Joker in body.
I'm okay with that. Wait, which one of the universe, or rather, which one of the installments of the franchise in that case? The latest one?
The latest versions. Get rid of Jared Leto and have a Mark Hamill-esque, a Mark Hamill Joker slotted in. Even with Ben Affleck as Batman. Because the Christopher Nolan trio, Heath Ledger was perfect for that vision of the DC universe. I might want to say replace Jack with him, but Jack did damn good in the role too.
Jack is Jack, though.
Yeah, and that's
You can't... Go on.
and that's what makes it tough, is because in that vision of the DC movie universe with Keaton as Batman, Jack worked. Could it be better with Hamill? Maybe. So I'm kind of 50-50 on that one. But all the newer stuff, or even the later editions after Keaton in the initial run of Batman movies, keep Tommy Lee as Two-Face. Maybe not go Jim Carrey as Riddler, but get a Mark Hamill Joker in that version. And if you want to go with the cartoon over-the-top aesthetic that they did with the Val Kilmer edition, boom, right there. Go with Two-Face, Joker, and then maybe if you wanted someone other than Jim Carrey as the Riddler in there, there's your trio of bad guys for Batman and Robin to go after. But it would be Hamill as the Joker.
Yeah, I can see him working there. Because if you look at it, he wouldn't work as the Ledger Joker. He could probably work as the Jack Nicholson Joker. But Jack Nicholson was such a contrast to Keaton there. Keaton seemed to be mostly serious, but not taking it too seriously, as can be seen by the fucking suit. But I don't know. I think that Hamill would make that a bit too similar to Batman, so to speak. Whereas Jack Nicholson as Joker there, he smiles, he laughs, but there's no joy behind it. He happily asks a guy to give him his gun, to then just, well, pop a cap on his ass with said gun.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that's what I say, is that I would have loved to have seen Hamill as the Joker in the more comic aesthetic of either the Val Kilmer or George Clooney editions of Batman. He would have fit perfect in that visual setup.
What about this, though? With the current DC universe and the things that they're doing to it, take Mark Hamill, slide him in there as a Joker. Batman, as we know it, there isn't actually Bruce Wayne. He is one of the Robins. Just take a pick. That's taking up the mantle. That means that we can have an older Joker.
Yeah.
But we can have a younger Batman.
Yeah, actually, that could work. That would work too, because we've already had reference to the Killing Joke. So, why not? Yeah. Instead of using Leto or someone else of that ilk as Joker, stemming from Justice League and everything. Maybe we should put that question on Twitter to Mark Hamill. Would he be interested in doing a live-action version of the Joker in the current run of the DC movie universe?
Yeah, because that would actually be really interesting. And he does have the acting chops to pull that off. He really fucking has the acting chops to pull that off. Especially just the over-the-top acting as the Joker. Having that kind of, I guess you could call it malicious personality, and still at the same time not being completely psychopathic.
Well, look at what he did. Granted, it was a comedy, but in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, in his portrayal as Cockknocker, he's in there acting like an absolute insane person as the character of Cockknocker, and I think it was Jay asked him, "How'd you get that name?" And without skipping a beat, Hamill just goes, "Well, that's a funny story," and then wheels around and shows how he got the name. And just the way he was able to have that immediate break and delivery, but then still do that. Why not? Hey, why not do an entirely brand new movie and have it be the memoirs of Cockknocker? That might actually be a better use of time for Kevin Smith than what he's been doing with Masters of the Universe.
You mean bending it over something and going at it without a drop of lube?
Giggity.
Yeah, along those lines.
Which I'm still not happy about that.
But how about that? Audience watching this after the fact, in the comments below, go ahead and throw your 2 cents in. And you know what? Let's open it up. Not just Mark Hamill, although those ones will get top billing. What character, what role would you like to see Mark Hamill play? Or take an existing franchise and character, and who would you replace the actor with and why? With that, we are going to end up putting a pause to the live show because some of us are going to get something to eat and take a quick break, and we will be back on air in just over a half hour. And oh boy, are there a lot of topics to cover because, of course, things happen.
Who does number 2 work for?
Yeah, a lot of that has been going on, and we're gonna touch on that next. I need to get my gloves on.
Ugh.